RWBY is a weird show. In fact, I would even say RWBY is a factually bad show. The characters are inconsistent, the show is built on deus ex machinas, a majority of the time even the powers are nonsensical. But I love RWBY. Why? Why do I love something that is objectively bad? It's because RWBY, despite its quality, has core themes and principles that ring true to this very day. What makes RWBY great, at least for me, is what RWBY stands for. Creativity. This is made abundantly clear in one scene in Season 2, but since I hear copyright knocking, let me set the scene instead. The students of every combat school in the world of Remnant, where RWBY takes place, are gathered at Beacon for the Vitals Festival, and the principal of Beacon, Ozpin, is giving a speech to the students about why they hold the festival. Today we stand together, united. Mistral, Atlas, Vacuo, Vale. The four kingdoms of Remnant. On this day, nearly 80 years ago, the largest war in recorded history came to an end. It was a war of ignorance, of greed, and of oppression. A war that was about much more than where borders fell or who traded with whom, but about the very idea of individualism itself. We fought for countless reasons, one of which being the destruction of all forms of art and self-expression. And as you are well aware, that was something many could not stand for. As a result, those who opposed this tyranny began naming their children after one of the core aspects of art itself. Color. It was their way to demonstrate that not only would they refuse to tolerate this oppression, but neither would the generations to come. And it is a trend that is held to this very day. We encourage individuality, expressionism, and unity, and diversity. As I have said, today we stand together, united, but this bond cannot exist without effort. Which is why today, while the rest of the world celebrates peace, us huntsmen and huntresses will work to uphold it. From there, he goes on to give the students their first missions and all that sort of stuff. But what that speech shows and says is it gives us the themes that work throughout the series. The themes that drive this world and this narrative forward. And that's the very sense of identity and creativity. And while I know I ragged on the series a lot at the beginning, there are a lot of really good moments that shine through all of the flaws the series may have. And one of my favorite of those good moments is their fight against the Elysian Paladin. Because even though it's from Volume 2, it really does show how far these characters have progressed in terms of not only them being themselves as just fighters in general, but also in terms of working together as a team. Throughout this scene, you hear RWBY shouting out what seems to be completely random words. And honestly, when I first watched the scene, it just kind of felt weird. And in fact, I didn't like the scene at first because of it. It just felt weird that RWBY was spouting out all of these random words. But then, through the process of editing the sarcastic reviews on it, actually, that got copyright blocked, I actually found that there is an interesting correlation to it that relates back to that speech that we heard, that we just went over. And it just blew me away once I realized the connection. So I'm going to say the words that she says, along with the actions that follow, and I want you to see if you can dissect what the pattern is. Razorburn, Weiss and Yang attack. Checkmate, Weiss and Blake attack. Ladybug, RWBY and Blake attack. Bumblebee, Blake and Yang attack. Iceflower, RWBY and Weiss attack. Got your reasons in? It's the colors. RWBY the character is always associated with the color red, and even her full name is Ruby Rose. Weiss is associated with the color white, Blake with black, and Yang with yellow. Similarly, each word can be broken down into 2 colors. The white steel of a razor and a bright yellow burn. The white and black pieces in a game of chess. The red with black spots of a ladybug. The Blake and yellow striped bumblebee. And the cold white of ice and snow, along with the flower, a rose. It's all code. The same kinds of codes a real army squad would use to not reveal their plans to the enemy while still directing their teammates. And they don't just outright tell you or show you this. They give you the cues to figure it out. They have Ruby saying the words, and also a couple episodes after this is the speech about how children are named after colors. It's a perfect showing of both the themes of the series and the progression of the characters working in tandem for a very small but very cool detail that shows how much closer and better Team RWBY has gotten. Even the character arcs relate back to the main themes of the series, as you would expect. Weiss is constantly struggling with the idea of forging her own identity, struggling under the weight and pressure of her father to follow in his footsteps. Blake, one of my favorite characters, it is outright fighting the very fact of who she is, in a way. Having grown up a terrorist and is now trying to fight for the side of good and fight for the right things now. And also trying to stop just running away from all of her problems. And even Yang goes through a very challenging change, he says, trying not to spoil much more than he already has. And she learns to overcome that and learn how to be herself and be strong even with that change. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm not mentioning Ruby and her arc, it's because as far as I'm aware, she never really gets an arc. She's just kind of the altruistic hero type all throughout. So, there you go. And even going beyond Team RWBY, the other relatively main characters of the series, the members of Team Juniper, also go through their own struggles. Like the team leader, Jean, who initially lied and deceived his way to get into Beacon, and now has to deal with trying to find his own way to live up to the identity that he wants to become. He wants to be a hero, and now he has to learn how to actually do that. And it's just a really great arc. And I think you can see at this point the things I'm trying to say. I can't even say it. I could go on about the series forever. RWBY is all about overcoming your limits, being yourself without shame, and expressing yourself with creativity. While it's easy to mock the series where every weapon and armor is also a gun, or to point out how blatantly inconsistent the characters can be, the core aspects of the series is something all of us can cling to. Identity, creativity, and most importantly for today, unity. The series is about being yourself and working together towards greater goals. Coming together to be ourselves and make new things with our creativity, not tear each other down. I love RWBY, and that will never change. See y'all next time.